Hello and welcome to Get Decked, the video series where I build budget casual decks for Magic the Gathering so you can introduce friends and family to the game. This is episode 1, so I'm really excited to start this new video series. And we're going to kick off by looking at Good as Gold, which is a green and white deck with a focus on multicolour permanents. Let's take a look at the deck list. Well, before we look at the deck list, let's look at the Get Decked rules. I covered these briefly in the introductory video. I will include these in every deck video just as a reminder of like the kind of ethos behind this project. So essentially, we're making the deck nice and cheap. We're sticking to a sort of a $30 budget. The deck's going to be 60 cards intended for 2-player games. The deck is going to use 12 non-land cards, so essentially 12 playsets of 3 to make 36. No format restrictions, so these are going to be cards from kind of all over Magic's history. A low to mid complexity, and casual doesn't mean weak or bad. So let's dive in, and now we'll look at the deck list. So we've got 22 creatures, 6 enchantments, 5 sorceries, 3 instants, 24 land, and we've got a mana curve off to the side there. Let's dive in, start looking at the contents of Good as Gold. And we're going to start off with our win condition. How are we winning? What is the win condition of the deck? So, I'd say the main creature of this deck is Knight of New Alara. So 2 green and a white for a 2/2. It gives all your other multicolored creatures +1/+1 for each of their colors. So we've got a lot of multicolored creatures in the deck. In fact, every creature in the deck is multicolored in some way. So Knight of New Alara gives even a 2-color creature like a +2/+2 boost, right? So what we want to do is get a Knight of New Alara down and buff up all our multicolored creatures, make them really big and difficult to deal with in combat. So yeah, so we've got 4 of those. And we've got 3 Falagi Wayfarers. So this is from a commander set, so 2 in a green for a 2/4. It's all colours, which doesn't affect its colour identity. That's all commander format stuff. We don't particularly care about that. So it's all colours. So Knight of New Alara gives it +5/+5. So it goes straight up to being a 7/9, which is pretty good for 3 mana. It also gives our multicolored spells Convoke, which can help pump out the the more expensive stuff, because Knight of New Lara is at 4 is kind of starting to edge into be a bit expensive, as we saw from the mana curve there. It's kind of a little bit of a greedy mana curve, which we will cover in kind of like the flaws and vulnerabilities of the deck. So Falagi Wayfarer's ability to give those multicolored spells Convoke can really help, like just turn some creatures into essentially mana dorks to kind of get a jump ahead and ramp out a bit quicker. It's got 3 Falagi Wayfarers. We've got 3 Transguild Couriers, so this is 4 mana for a 3/3. It's an artifact creature, but it's all colours. So again, Knight of New Alara gives it a whopping +5/+5, making it an 8/8 for only 4 mana, which again, I think is pretty efficient and scary to deal with. So we got 2 Sphinx the Guild pack. So this is the most expensive card in the deck. So it's 7 mana for a 5/5 flyer. It's all colours, so it gets the bonus from Knight of New Alara, going up to a 10/10. It also has hexproof from monocoloured, so it can't be the target of monocoloured spells or abilities your opponents control. So if they do want to deal with it, they're going to have to use something that's multicoloured to try and like bounce it or kill it. So yeah, this is kind of like, if the game does go on a bit long, we've got like a massive flyer in the air to deal with. So yeah, 2 of those, because we don't want too many, because otherwise we're going to kind of mess with the mana curve. We don't want like a hand of these just like going nowhere, even potentially with Falagi Wayfarer giving our stuff Convoke to power it out. So then on the lower end of the scale, we've got 4 Bant Sureblades. So this is 1 white mana and a single Simic hybrid mana. Now, because of the way the rules work with hybrid mana, this means this is 3 colours. So the Knight of New Alara gives him +3/+3, but he's also got his own ability. As long as you control another multicolored permanent, you almost certainly will. Like pretty much everything in the deck is multicolored. Bant Sureblade gets +1/+1 as first strike. So with the Knight of New Alara out, he's getting +3/+3 from Knight of New Alara. He's getting +1/+1 from his ability. So he's becoming a 6/5 with first strike for only like 2 mana, which again is just pretty big and efficient and scary to deal with. Actually, Bant Sureblade is the whole inspiration from this deck, because I used to run like a very budget, trashy, janky deck like back in the day, where I used like these blades from Shards of Alara, like so Bant Sureblade, Esper Stormblade, Naya Hushblade, along with Knight of New Alara, and like it did really well, like in a kind of like just I say like a casual kitchen table setting, because when they start getting the bonuses, they're so hard to deal with. And sort of following on the same idea as Bansheeblade, Blade, the Marisi's Twin Claws. So 2 a green and a Boros hybrid mana, so that makes them 3 colours. There are 2/4 with double strike, so again, with Knight of New Alara out, they're getting +3/+3. They're becoming 5/7 5/7 double strikers, which again is an absolute nightmare to deal with, because they can kick out like so much damage. They're obviously then really good attackers, they're really good blockers. So yeah, so these cards from Shards of Lara, I think, were absolutely great. I really like them. So what helps us win? Obviously, aside from Knight of New Lara giving us some buffs, we got some other buffs as well that we can use to help us. So these come from the one of the old Ravnica sets. I think this is Dissension or Guild Pact. Can't remember which one off the top of my head. So we got 3 Blessing of the Nephilim, so 1 white mana for an aura that goes on a creature, and it gets +1/+1 for each of its colours. There's a theme here, you may have noticed. So if we can't get Knight of New Alara, we can at least kind of get a smaller effect with Blessing of the Nephilim, or we double up on something by, say, like even just putting this on the Bansheeblade is giving it +3/+3 for only 1 white mana. Putting this on the Transguild Courier is giving it +5/+5 again for a single white mana. So again, we're just going really big. So we're not using a lot of evasive ability. We're just going like raw power here. And as a instant speed combat trait, we've got Might of the Nephilim. So there's 1 green target creature gets +2/+2 to turn for each of its colours. So again, on Transguild Courier, this is like +10/+10 for only 2 mana. So if that sneaks through and you do this, that's almost like certainly going to like put your opponent. It's either going to win the game or it's going to really hit them out of nowhere. Like if you just hit them for like say 13, assuming that Transguild Courier has like no other buffs. Like if this is the only thing you do with it, that's still 13 damage. So yeah, these two I think are really excellent little cards to have in here to make those creatures even better. We've also got Rampant Growth here, just a standard ramp spell, just to pump out a land. I would say we do have a slightly greedy mana curve, so I think it's good just to play this and just get a land out. We are also obviously playing multicolored, so it doesn't hurt exactly to get out the land, just in case we've either gone 2 green or 2 white. And then we've got 2 Vivid Revival. So 4 and a green. You return up to 3 multicolored cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then Vivid Revival gets exiled. So if you do lose some of the key components like the Knights in New Alara or Transguild Couriers or anything like that, Vivid Revival is a way of just getting 3 cards back at once. So yeah, just in case things go badly. So now we're going to say what stops them winning. So this is how we can disrupt our opponent. This is in terms of like removal or any kind of like control options. So as we're in green-white, not a huge amount of options available to us. We've got 3 Qasali Pride Mage. So green and white for a 2/2 with Exalted. I mean, the fact it's 2-coloured, that's why it's in here, so it's getting at least +2/+2 from Knight of New Alara. Exalted might matter. I don't think it will, because I think you want to be attacking with as much things as possible. But, it never hurts. It's better to have the bonus and then not have it, I suppose. But it's in here mostly for its ability when you pay 1 and sacrifice it, destroy an artifact or enchantment. So yeah, it just deals with any troublesome auras or enchantments or artifacts, anything like that might be hanging around. We've also got 3 Banishing Lights, so this is pretty much a staple. This is going to show up in a lot of decks, I think, going forward, because it's just like a really good all-round answer for like a deck including white to have, especially at a budget level. So Banishing Light is just 2 and a white, and enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you exile another non-land permanent until Banishing Light leaves the battlefield. So it doesn't permanently deal with something, just gets out of the way for a little bit. But it does sort of handle anything, which is why it's kind of just like a little bit of a silver bullet. If you just need to get something out of the way for a little while, I think it's perfect. So I think an important part of these deck texts is to describe like what would stop us winning, like in what ways the deck is vulnerable, or what a bad matchup would be. So I thought that like any deck that makes a bunch of tokens is going to kind of give us problems, because we don't have essentially enough creatures kind of spread wide enough to deal with them. Our creatures can be really big, but we don't really have any like sweepers or anything to deal with like an army of like tokens. So that is something that could potentially be a problem, just getting kind of overwhelmed by a bunch of tokens. Another thing is we don't really have a lot to deal with kind of evasive creatures. So either stuff with flying, we don't. We've got the We've got the Sphinx, and that's about it, honestly. For I suppose an alternative for that is you could swap out Maurice's twin claws for messenger falcons, which is also from Shards of Alara. That's also like another one of those hybrid colored creatures, but it's like it's a 2/2 with flying, so you could do that. But otherwise, we're just kind of relying on Banishing Light to deal with that. So yeah, we're kind of weak to flyers. Also, because so many of our things are like multiple colors, protection from color, like really from any color, like really messes us up. Because obviously anything with like any color protection can quite happily block the Transguild Courier or the Guild Pack Sphinx, anything like that. Anything that's any of our creatures that are multiple colors. Yeah, that gives us a real problem there. Also, like I said, the mana curve is a little greedy. Like a lot of our good stuff is like spiking around 4. So like the Knight in New Alara, the Maurice's Twin Claws, the oh god, what else? What else? Something really good at 4. The Maurice's Twin Claws, Knight in New Alara, something else. Can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, the Transguild Courier. Yeah. So those are all like spiking at 4. So is like a little bit greedy of a mana curve at 4, and obviously we've got the Sphinx at 7. Also, Knight of New Alara is doing a lot of heavy lifting. So we really want to try and like protect Knight of New Alara as much as possible, because if we don't have Knight of New Alara, like we've got some options available to us to like still get the multicolored like benefits. Because we've got like the Might and Blessing of the Nephilim to help out. Bant Sureblade gets its own bonus as well, but really it's all about Knight of New Alara giving that bonus to multicolored creatures. So yeah, that's really want to be able to draw it and play it and keep it alive. So I'd love to know what you think of this first episode of Get Decked. What do you think of the of Good as Gold as a deck? Is it a deck you would enjoy playing, or would you do you think you have a friend or family member you would like to introduce to the game by letting them use this deck? Stick a comment below. I'd love to hear people's feedback on this deck and like this very first episode of Get Decked. And yeah, I'll be back next time. I'm going to show you another deck I've built. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have an amazing day.